the memo. Derrick Rose can go upstairs.
The NBA offseason, easily the most interesting in all of sports, and we are here to cover it for you on the Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast. Once again, we are in our live stealth mode, so hopefully you're following us on the Twitch chat or our live broadcast or live stream on YouTube. We're going to be monitoring comments throughout the show, and if you got something interesting or a question for Stacey, we'd be happy to ask. Timmy Whisper's chair is empty right now. He was at the dentist, which means as soon as he gets here, he's going to be hitting the beer because he's going to be hurting, right?
You know what? Poor little Timmy Whisper.
Oh, there he is.
Listen, don't try to sneak in like you're late. Like, you know, when
See,
you,
he's got a beer in his hand. I told you. I won that bet.
You see, America, look at this. This is like when you've been out too late and your wife or your girlfriend said be home at a certain time and you try to sneak in. That's what Tim just did right there. But he got busted.
I was going to crawl and get under the table.
So what did the dentist have to say? Did you pass?
Well, it's a guy we used to play ball with.
Oh, you went to him?
We go to the same dentist.
Yeah, we go to the same dentist. He's made a few mistakes on some of our friends, but, you know, we still go to him.
So
Shout out to Chris Scallion, baby. I know you listen.
Only once an ambulance have to get called with a paper in the chair.
Did he give you some elbows for past offenses in pickup games?
Yeah.
No,
he yanked out a tooth that didn't need to be yanked.
No, Chris has always been a playmaker. The guy never shoots. Never shoots. Those are the kind of guys you want to play with in the pickup game because that means there's more shots for you.
I'm barely hearing whispers. We got good audio on whispers. I know we call him whispers for a reason, but
I don't hear anything.
Okay, I hear you now.
I hear you now.
See, that's the idea with the microphone. You talk into it instead of around it.
Oh. Yeah, just grab it with two hands, Tim.
Excuse me.
Grab it with two hands.
Uh-oh, look out. Here we go.
Hey, come on.
You hot sauce packer, you.
You hot sauce packer.
A little early in the show for that.
See, I got you before you could get me.
If you were watching last week, you know that we told the story of Tim after hours back in the closet packing up boxes of hot sauce. So he got a new nickname. He's the hot sauce packer.
The hot sauce packer. The packer.
Hey, the clock struck 6 o'clock Eastern time, which is the start when teams can supposedly negotiate with free agents. But already we've got a handful of deals announced. Bradley Beal is going to stay in Washington. He gets a 5-year max from the Wizards. And one of the guys we're going to talk about as a possible target for the Bulls is a backup big, Isaiah Hartenstein of the Los Angeles Clippers has signed a 2-year, $16.7 million contract with the New York Knicks. So you can cross Hartenstein off the Bulls' possibilities for a backup big. And it's going very fast. DeAndre Jordan, I believe I saw signed with Denver. I mean, we're seeing all kinds of things. Mo Bamba is a name, Stacey, that's kind of surfaced as a possibility, but he wants the full mid-level. And what we're hearing is the Bulls don't want to commit that $10.5 million to one guy.
I don't blame them.
Yeah.
Because there's some more pressing needs that they have to address. And as much as I like Bamba, he's not really in position, to demand certain things. I mean, there's a lot of questions about him. Someone's going to pay him money. They're going to give him mid-level. He's going to get it somewhere because he's 24 years old. He's got a huge upside. Kid shot a career high, 38% from the three-point line. So he's converted himself into a big that can, play out on the perimeter, space the floor a little bit. I like him personally, Mark, because the simple fact is he's athletic.
Right.
He can switch out on pick and rolls. And in today's game, you have to have bigs that can switch out and pick and rolls and guard guards, two guards, small forwards, basically smaller players, be able to move their feet more than two slides and be able to stay in front and then contest shots. And that's what you saw in the finals. You see big guys that can do that. Al Horford, Williams, everybody on Golden State can. Their bigs can. So that's what the game is going to.
The Twitch chat is active, and people are already asking us to comment on Kevin Durant. That is the story that's going to hijack free agency until he either winds up with another team or makes some kind of deal with Brooklyn. But it sounds like the Nets are going to cooperate with them on trying to work out a trade. In case you missed the breaking news earlier today, Kevin Durant went to the Brooklyn Nets owner and said, I want out. He's got 4 years. His extension will just kick in starting in the upcoming season. And he wants out, probably for the way that they did his buddy wrong, Kyrie Irving. So, people are wondering, is there any package the Bulls could put together to try to get Kevin Durant in a trade? And, Stacey, if you think about it, they'd have to put in Zach Lavine and Patrick Williams and Colby White and multiple first-round draft picks. I just don't see that's the direction that they're going to go.
No, I mean, it would be nice. They don't really have a lot of a lot of assets as far as draft is concerned because they moved those to get Vooch and everything. So, I just don't see it happening. I mean, I know it would be great for the Bulls if they can, but you would have to give up almost most of your roster, and then you're back to just having, one star trying to, he's leaving Brooklyn now, because the fact that I think he lost trust in Kyrie Irving. I don't think it had anything to do with Brooklyn, Mark. I think it had more to do with the trusting of Kyrie Irving and understanding what he's going to do. I'm sure they talked, and I'm sure after that conversation, I guarantee you that Kevin Durant walked away from there saying, you know what? I got to get out of here because this guy's going to leave me in a lurch. I came here to play with him and to try to win championships. Now he opts into a contract. He tried to force a trade to L.A. It didn't work. He's on a make-good contract, basically. I mean, even though it's $37 million, Brooklyn is saying to you, if you want max dollars, you got to come out here and play every night. You can't just show up and play 40, 50 games and think that's enough.
What does it say, though, about the era of player empowerment where Kevin Durant, who's got 4 years left on a contract, can just go into the owner and say, trade me, and they go, okay.
Well, listen, I'm telling you what. The owners have lost control.
They sure have.
I mean, this is really, really, you're seeing more and more of this. Guys decide, like, I don't like it here. I want to go somewhere else. Or I want to go play with my friend. Man, this is not, high school. This is not, Pop Warner. This is a job. If I'm an owner and I pay you $200+ million and you got 4 years on that contract, you better believe you're gonna be here for 4 years.
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna play 4 years. Okay.
They don't have to trade.
Yes, and then a guy like Kyrie Irving. So you got to put clauses in his contract. Let's say you give him max dollars. Okay, you have to get that full max contract. You got to play a certain amount of games as long if it's injury, that's one thing. But just to be sitting out to make a stand and I'm not doing this because, I'm holding out because they're killing rattlesnakes and I believe that rattlesnakes should be saved. And so I'm not playing. I'm just sitting out for various reasons.
The earth isn't flat.
Just you're here to play basketball. You have a platform and I get it. These guys are more vocal about what's going on in real life and you should be. You have a platform. But at the same time, you have a job. Just like people go to work every day 9 to 5. Their parents, going to work every single day. Do you think that they could have taken a day off and said, I don't want to work. I'm gonna sit out today because I don't believe in X, Y, Z? No, their parents had to work hard to put them in position. All the camps they drove them to, all the AAU tournaments they drove these kids to, all the money that they put into these kids to get to where they are now. You had to learn something from your parents. You're getting paid to play a kid's game. It's a fun game. They're paying you $25-30 million a year. Go to work. Do what you're supposed to do.
A lot of Bulls fans were excited because they saw the images of Kevin Durant wearing a Bulls jersey when he was playing pickup, and of course he likes to sport the black White Sox cap with the script lettering, which a lot of athletes wear. So they thought, well, maybe he's got a soft spot for Chicago. But when you look at it realistically, the package that some teams can put together, the two teams that have been talked about most for a Kevin Durant trade are Phoenix and Miami. Now, Miami's going to have problems because of salary cap rules. They can't include Bam Adebayo. So if they can't include Bam Adebayo and they're not going to put Jimmy Butler in the trade, they don't have anything to offer, really. Tyler Hero and some scraps. But Phoenix, DeAndre Ayton, they could do a sign and trade, send him to Brooklyn along with Mikal Bridges, Cameron Johnson, and some draft picks. That'd be a pretty nice return for Brooklyn.
Well, Mark, you put a nice package together. So, but at the end of the day, if I'm Brooklyn, if it doesn't benefit me, I'm not trading you because you want to be traded.
Right.
I'm not doing you a favor, solid, going, let's trade Kevin wherever he wants to go. But if you don't have any assets, that's the same thing I said about Los Angeles. When you heard everybody say, hey, trade Zach for so-and-so and so-and-so, or the Lakers was out there saying the Lakers want to give you, Taylor Horton, they want to give you all these scraps for an all-star caliber player. Who's going to make that trade?
Yeah.
The only people that get away from it, the only people got away with it, Mark, is Atlanta. I'm just going to throw that out there. America, did you see this trade today with Atlanta and San Antonio?
DeJounte Murray, yeah.
Oh, my God. Oh, okay, listen.
Yeah, Atlanta gets an all-star to play with Trae Young, and the Spurs get draft
25
picks.
years old.
Yeah.
25 years old. And you're trying to rebuild. If you're a coach coming in, let's say you're a coach in waiting, because, Popovich is his last year. And let's say you're a coach that looked at San Antonio and saying, hey, they got some really nice pieces, got some good young players. DeJounte Murray is a very good young player, point guard. All right, let's go. That looks like a really, really pleasing place to go. Now you get rid of that kid. And it's like, oh, man, I don't know if I want to coach there now because it's like a no-win situation. And as you know, you don't know what's going to be in the draft in the next 2 or 3 years. You don't know what's going to be out there. So at the end of the day, Atlanta went in, broad daylight. They didn't even wear a mask. They didn't spray paint the camera so you can't see who was in there robbing. They just walked in and said, yes, we like DeJounte Murray. This is a stick-up. They just gave it to him. They just gave him everything.
I know it's been crazy. Things are happening fast and furious, which makes it even more comical that the Bulls and Miami Heat got docked a second-round draft pick for tampering. We've got about 10 contracts done in the first 10 minutes of free agency.
Yeah.
Bobby Portis is going back to Milwaukee, 4 years, $49 million. Jalen Brunson is getting a 4-year, $110 million contract to play for Tom Thibodeau with the New York Knickerbockers. What else did I see? Victor Oladipo, who was the name that was rumored as one of many people may be coming to Chicago. He's not coming back to Chicago. 1 year, $11 million to stay in Miami to play for the Heat. Nikola Jokic, he signed a 5-year, $264 million Supermax extension with Denver. So if you had thoughts of AK bringing Jokic back, you forget about that one.
No.
It's just crazy. Things are happening so quickly, and yet teams weren't allowed to negotiate until 5 o'clock.
Yes,
And the Bulls get a second-round draft pick taken away.
I like an investigation.
Yeah.
Because these contracts were done with like minutes into free agency.
Yeah.
So the Bulls lost a second-round pick. Miami lost a second-round pick. I mean, come on, man. Come on, that's terrible. Because there had to be some kind of communication. These deals are getting done way too quickly.
Joe Ingles, a 1-year deal with the Milwaukee Bucks. So that gives them a shooter.
Oh, no. Are you serious?
I'm serious. His wife tweeted it out, so it's a pretty good source.
Oh, you know what? He was the one. How much did he get?
It's a limited contract because, he tore his ACL, so he won't be able to play the first half of the season. A 1-year deal does not give the money figure.
Well, I tell you what. That's the one guy. It's him I had on my list. Nicholas Batum from the Clippers is another guy, a shooter that I could see that I thought would be good in the Bulls uniform because they can stretch the floor, they can shoot threes. Because we all know the Bulls need a rim-protecting big and they need a shooter, okay? They're loaded at the guard spot. Dalen Terry was a big pickup for them because he's versatile enough to play the 1, 2, or 3 position for them. So they're locked in at the guard position. They need to get some depth at the center position, and they need a 6'7", 6'8", 6'6" shooter that can knock down threes.
And we can forget about Mo Bamba. He is agreed with the Orlando Magic on a 2-year, $21 million deal. So they are loaded with bigs now. They got Bamba, they got Wendell Carter, they got Jonathan Isaac, and then they drafted Paolo Banchero. So, they are loaded at the bigs position. And it's going to be interesting to see, the one name that may pop up again is Mitchell Robinson because they signed Hartenstein. So,
But there was a report out that he was going to re-sign with the Knicks. They offered him I don't know if it was $45 million or something, but there was a report that he was going to re-sign with the Knicks.
And he'll get more money than the Bulls have to offer. And P.J. Tucker, it's official. 3 years, $33 million with the Philadelphia 76ers. This is interesting. A guy who's been a great defensive player throughout his career, but he's 37 years old. That means you're paying him till he's 40 to be a grinder, a defensive guy.
Hey.
And we'll see if it works out for the Sixers. They're trying to do whatever they can to try to make a legitimate title run with Joel Embiid.
Oh, this news is hurting me right now, Mark.
Taking less money.
What's that?
Harden accepted less money.
Yeah, he opted out of his $47 million, so he'll get a 4 or 5 year contract because the GM loves himself some James Harden over there, Daryl Morey. He'll get a long-term contract. He'll get all that money back, I'm sure.
Excuse me. I want you to grab the mic.
I think.
There you go. Get it closer. There you go. Get a little closer there.
Move the slide.
There you go, Whispers.
Wait, I'm about to eat this thing.
Wait, listen, it wouldn't be the first time. Just go ahead and
just
talk.
Oh,
You
yeah,
talk
another
right
one,
there.
huh?
Tyus Jones returning to the Memphis Grizzlies, 2 years, $30 million
They had him going to Detroit.
to back up John Morant. I mean, again, we're 15 minutes into this. We've got like 20 deals already done. Nobody's tampering. Nobody's talking ahead of time.
Test the ink. It's already been dry for an hour.
Can somebody say tampering?
Wow. So, the big man market is already kind of shrinking. So wouldn't it be something with all these teams chasing Kevin Durant that the Bulls get back in on Rudy Gobert?
Hey, there's some, don't sleep on Indiana making a move with Miles
Turner, yeah.
There could be some trade possibilities there. You never know. It could happen.
So what do you think about what Milwaukee's doing? They get Bobby Portis back. Pat Connaughton picked up the option year, and then they're going to pick up Joe Ingles as a shooter off the bench.
Oh, man. They just strengthened their team. Man.
I still can't figure out the Hartenstein thing, though. 2 years, $16 million, which is probably something the Bulls would have done to go to that cesspool that is the Knicks.
Listen. Oh, man. I tell you what. Listen. The Jalen Brunson thing pretty much was a done deal when his dad got there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I thought that was the thing. But the thing about the Jalen Brunson thing is it would have been interesting to know what Dallas was particularly going to do. How much were they willing to spend to keep him there? And the thing you got to be careful about a lot of times is the grass is not always greener on the other side. I mean, you're playing with a generational talent like Luka Doncic, okay? And you are the second option on that team. And you get to shoot, you get to play without the ball, you get to move without the ball, and you're playing with a guy who's a willing passer, And that system that they played in, I thought Jalen really flourished in that system. It's going to be interesting to see how he goes to the Knicks and how they play because, they don't, the young guards don't really get to play under Tibbs. I mean, I know they don't. And so it's going to be interesting to see how he plays in New York. I'm glad he got his money because he's a good kid. I've known him since he was a little boy, and it's good that he got his money. And we're probably going to have him as a guest on the show. So I'm happy for him. I hope it works out for him.
Phoenix Suns and Devin Booker agree to a 4-year, $214 million Supermax contract extension. Wouldn't it be something if Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and Kevin Durant team up in the Valley of the Sun?
It's not going to happen.
They got a good package to offer.
They got hey, listen, I got a good package too, Mark, to offer.
Oh, wait a minute now. Wait a minute now.
Mark, first of all, get your mind out of the gutter. What I'm saying is that there's a whole bunch of teams out there that can offer something more for Kevin Durant. I mean, don't sleep on Miami. I would not be surprised if Pat Riley says, hey, look, this is a future Hall of Famer. You can have Hero, you can have Duncan Robinson, you can have anybody on this roster. Just like when they beat, when they created the team with LeBron and Bosh and Dwayne Wade, they got rid of the whole bench. They didn't care, So I could see Pat Riley clearing the deck to get that, to team him up with Gimme and Kyle Lowry. I could see that.
There's a report now that the Bucks and Dallas Mavericks are aggressively pursuing center JaVale McGee. That's another guy that would have been a possibility for the Bulls as a backup 5.
Man, all the people that we were targeting is disappearing within seconds. Poof.
Yeah. No tampering going on, though.
There's no tampering. You're not tampering. Adam Silver, I'm not accusing anybody, Adam. If you listen to the show, we know you're a loyal listener.
And let's get it back to the Bulls. And Shams Charania of Stadium reported that Zach Lavine is going to take his time in making a decision. We have not seen Zach Lavine's name in all these things. He had indicated in his end-of-the-year news conference that he wanted to experience the free agency process, which means getting wined and dined and traveling to different cities. Do you think Zach's going to drag this out?
Listen, I don't know why you would.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows what it is? Who knows why he's doing that? I mean, it gets to a point like you already know that you're going to – no team can pay you as much as the Bulls. I mean, they're going to give you that 5th year or 2 that you want. There's security here, and I was telling people about Zach. When you're the number 1 or number 2 option, and you can take 25, 30 shots a night. Your team is a playoff team. You won 45 games. You're a big reason why they won. Why would you leave?
Right.
Why would you even entertain leaving to be a 3rd option or a 4th option?
No, I think it's going to get done, Zach, with the Bulls. It's just that it seems like he kind of committed himself that I'm going to really enjoy the process, so I'm not going to commit in the first 5 minutes like all these other guys have. Anthony Simons, the young guard for the Portland Trail Blazers, he agrees to a 4-year, $100 million deal. Wes Matthews is going back to the Bucks, the veteran guard out of Marquette. What else have we not told you about? I think that sums up what we've seen so far. I mentioned DeAndre Jordan, who's kind of running on fumes. He's going to the Denver Nuggets on a one-year deal. That Hartenstein deal, that's the one that stands out to me. 2 years, $16 million with the Knicks. Oh, Malik Monk, how about this? Remember he said he might go back to the Lakers for less money? He's going to Sacramento, which means he'll never win another game.
No, and he probably got big money.
No, it's not that big. 2 years, $19 million.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because a lot of people thought he'd get the full mid-level, which would have been more than that. But it's the deals are coming in fast and furious, and so far nothing in regard to the Chicago Bulls. There had been some names thrown out. You know, everyone's got a hot rumor. One of the guys that they mentioned is Andre Drummond, but I thought they were looking for a big that could switch on screen and roll. He doesn't fit that profile.
Listen, Mark, you know how I feel. I mean, we need a big that can switch
right.
and play defense. And so I thought these younger kids, Hardenstein and Bamba, would be perfect. But unfortunately, you know, I mean, Orlando stepped up, which was surprising because when you let him go to be a free agent and you said, hey, just go ahead and we're going to let you go and be an unrestricted free agent, then you come back and sign him, man, that's interesting with all the bigs that they got. You know, where are you going to play all these guys?
The Bulls picked a kind of a funny time to announce their summer league roster that's going to compete in Las Vegas. That came out just before 5 o'clock. The names that you'd expect to see: Dalen Terry, the first-round draft pick. Also, Justin Lewis, who they signed right after the draft. He was the guy who was expected to go in the second round, but he did not get selected, so the Bulls pounced on him. He's one of the better.
He's going to be a good player.
Yeah, but guys that was available at about 6'8", 235 pounds. He's going to play on the summer league team. Javon Freeman Liberty, who played with a number of schools, including DePaul, is going to be on their squad. Carlik Jones, who played for Louisville, is on that team. Malcolm Hill is also a two-way guy who they're going to bring back. He'll be playing for the Bulls and Windy City. Marko Simonovic is going to play a summer league ball, as well as Ethan Thompson, who was on the Windy City Bulls last year. So not a ton of big names on that squad, but you know it's really all about what they see from Dalen Terry in summer league. Get him a chance to play 4 or 5 games against NBA-type competition, NBA rules, and see how he flourishes.
The one kid I wish that the Bulls would have kept and brought him back to summer league and bring him to camp was Tyler Cook.
Yeah,
I thought Tyler Cook, get him some seasoning. I thought he could give you what they're looking for. He can defend, he can rebound. He's very athletic. I thought that was the one kid that they would at least take a look at in training camp to see if, just in case, because you got to have a plan B. If you have all these guys that you're looking at, because you see all these reports. That's why I don't believe anything until I hear it from AK in the front office, okay?
Right. So
all these rumors, blah, 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 blah. So now you can see why you don't need to be listening to these places, because only like Woj and all those guys are the ones that actually know the ends.
Yeah, so now things have slowed down a little bit. We had the initial flurry. Nothing regarding the Bulls has been popping up from either Woj or Shams Charania. So we'll see how the night develops, but the early talk is that Zach Lavine may not make a commitment on day one. Who knows? He may take a visit to just check out some other situation. But the Bulls have been prepared to make an offer at the max level. We found out yesterday that the salary cap was going to increase by some $11 million for this season, which means the 5-year max for Zach Lavine is higher than it was originally projected to be. Now it's going to be about $215 million, starting at about $39 million in year one. So Zach is going to be a very wealthy man for generations of his family, and I don't think there's going to be any hitch there, Stacey. I think, as I mentioned earlier, I think he's just wants to see what else is out there for him to explore.
Yeah, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, I mean, he has the right to do that. And he knows what the offer the Bulls has. He also knows that he's not going to get a better package than what he's going to get with the Bulls. Again, why would you even entertain leaving? You got a team right now. You never made the playoffs. You made the playoffs for the first time in 8 years in your career. You were a big reason why. You're a superstar player on this team. Who's going to let you come past half court and jack up threes and step back threes and stuff like that? 30 shots a game. Who's going to allow you to do that? I mean, this is, you're here playing. It's like, I just don't understand. But hey.
One of the questions in the Twitch chat: do you think maybe AK is waiting to announce moves after getting caught for tampering last year? Think they're being extra careful?
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think they're playing it close to the vest, who they're actually really looking at, and trying to wait to see how the market dictates certain things. I think they had some of these guys on the board. I think Hardenstein was on the board. I think Bamba was on the board. And once they're off now, it's like, okay, what's plan B now? These guys are off. Where do we go with? I heard Dwight Howard's name. Boogie Cousins is out there. There's a
lot of big guys out there.
Big guys out there. But is it the big guys that it's going to help you get to the next level and do the things you need?
One of the guys who might have fit the profile the Bulls were looking at in terms of rim protecting and be able to run the court, Chris Boucher, he's going back to the Raptors, 3 years, $35 million.
Well, and what you're seeing is guys are saying, hey, I'm not going to get more money than I'm going to get here, so I might as well stay here.
The grass isn't always greener.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's just definitely not.
So, yeah, a lot of these guys that the Bulls were looking at were guys that can switch on high pick and roll, that can give you a little bit of offense as well as rim protection, and they're going off the board pretty quickly. So it'll be interesting to see what's left for the Bulls when some of the dust settles with this. Milwaukee has been very active. Javon Carter is going back to the Bucks on a 2-year deal.
Wow.
Damian Jones goes to the Lakers on a 2-year deal, a big man who's kind of bounced around the league a little bit. Amir Coffey staying with the Clippers, 3 years, $11 million.
Boy, the Clippers roster's kind of looking pretty good.
Yeah, and the Nets, with all this Kevin Durant talk, they picked up Royce O'Neal from the Utah Jazz for a first-round draft pick. Royce O'Neal's a pretty nice wing player. Yeah,
he's a nice wing player, but, I mean, he probably thought he was coming, to a team that was going to be contending for a championship. And now you got Kevin Durant now who's asking for a trade. So, obviously, how long do you think it's before Kyrie Irving goes, well, you never know. Kyrie Irving might just want to stay there now because I'm the man.
It's my own team. I get 40 shots a game.
I get 40 shots a game. See you later,
Ben Simmons doesn't want to shoot. I'll take all the shots.
Oh, man. And that's another thing. They had Ben Simmons there.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, they have a team, full of you got Joe Harris coming back from injury. Man, you got Patty Mills, who's a free agent that has an opportunity I think is going to come back there. But now with Kevin Durant leaving, why would you?
Some more signings trickling in. Nick Batum staying with the Clippers on a 2-year contract. Another guy that could give you a little size and some shooting.
Parlez-vous français? Oui.
Luguentz Dort staying with the Oklahoma City Thunder. He gets 5 years, $87.5 million. I mean, he's a nice player, but is he that nice?
Come on. Are you serious?
That's what it says. 5 years, $87.5 million for Lou Dort.
And this is the shocking thing. Because Oklahoma City is a small market team. But think about this, though. They have no superstar players, so they have money to spend because they have all these draft picks and they got all these young players that are still in the rookie contract. What's going to be interesting is when you get Josh Giddey, who's, his contract's up. Are you going to pay him what he's going to be worth on the open market? If he continues to, trend up like he's doing now, man, he's going to be commanding a lot of money.
So I think with the Bulls situation right now, they don't have a lot of spending power. They have the 10.5 mid-level exemption. They also have a $5 million trade exception they got from the sign and trade deal that sent Daniel Tice to Houston. They do not have the biannual exception. They used that to bring Tristan Thompson in last year. And, of course, you can always sign guys, as many veterans as you want, to the minimum salary. And it looks like that's kind of the game they're going to play, is to see who shakes out. And don't rule out the possibility of sign and trades. Now that Hartenstein is going to the Knicks, maybe AK is talking to the Knicks about sign and trade to bring Mitchell Robinson over.
Maybe it could be a possibility. And to be honest with you, I would welcome that because he's on my list as well. A guy that can block shots, athletic, moves really well. But he's not a guy who's going to stretch the floor. He's not a guy that's going to be, expect to shoot jumpers on a pick and pop.
Can't make free throws either.
Can't make free throws, but I tell you what, though, you throw that lob up there, anybody that's time on the rim, watch your head.
And our guy Thad Young is returning to the Raptors. 2 years, $16 million for Thaddeuk Johnson-Young.
Oh, I had him on my list, too.
we might as well get some matches and just burn that sucker.
No, but you know, when you come in here, you say, okay, these are all the people, okay? And every single one of them is pretty much gone.
Yeah, it's really thinning out quickly.
Oh, man, and fast. less than an hour.
You know, because you can always get the old-fashioned low-post center, the back-to-the-basket guy that doesn't move real well. Yeah. Those guys are always available because nobody wants them anymore.
It's like an old truck.
Now, teams would almost rather have a power forward as their backup center, I think, than
small ball,
than have a traditional center. What did you think about Detroit? You know, do you think that they're gonna, you know, they picked up Nerlens Noel basically in a salary dump? And they also have Marvin Bagley III, who's been a disappointment, but he played pretty well when he got traded to Detroit.
He's on my list.
Yeah, so he'll be gone in any second.
He's on my list. Let me tell you something about America. Listen to this. Detroit Pistons are making moves. They are positioning themselves, drafting well, putting the pieces together to be very good. It would not surprise me, the two teams that you need to watch out in the East, because the East is going to be a beast. There's no nights off in the East, okay? No nights off. So you can't say, oh, we're playing Orlando, easy win, 4 wins this year. No, it's not going to be like that. Orlando's going to be much better this year than they were last year. They got too much talent to be good. Detroit's the same way. Cade Cunningham's the real deal. And now you got Ivy there to be your two guard. So their backcourt, everybody's talking about, you know, DeJounte Murray and Trae Young. This backcourt in Detroit is going to be pretty nice.
Oh, yeah.
They got size, athleticism. Then you throw in, you know, they've got Durant there too, another young big that can run and jump. And, oh, man. Oh.
Yeah, they also picked up Alec Burks in that salary dump. He's a nice player. Yeah,
another
Detroit,
veteran player that knows how to play the game, and he's a two-way player. He's going to defend. He's going to do all the little things. I thought he was one of the reasons last year the Knicks were watchable.
Yeah,
you know,
he played well.
That second group with him and Derrick Rose before Derrick Rose got hurt. You know, quickly. I mean, and then the big kid. Obi Toppin.
Yeah,
I thought their second team was better than their first team.
Yeah, so we're monitoring the free agent news to see what's going on. And
America, I'm hurting right now, America. I'm hurting right now.
Yeah, the Pistons are going to be decent because they got Jalen Duran in the draft as well as Ivy.
Yes.
You know, so and they've got Isaiah Stewart and Sadiq Bey.
Oh my goodness,
that's a nice squad.
I'm telling you, they are putting a team together that is going to be fun to watch, just like how the Bulls were last year and how Cleveland. No one expected either one of those teams to be as good as they were. They surprised everybody in the beginning.
Yeah.
And with talent, you've got to have talent in this league, and they're building talent in Detroit.
One of our Twitch chat people say that Shams Charania is killing Woj right now. He's beating him on all the free agency news.
Woj is punching air.
And he worked for Woj for a couple of years. I got a great story about Shams Charania. He's a local kid, you know.
Yeah,
he's from the northern suburbs. And one day I got Kevin Anderson, who works at NBC Sports Chicago, said, "Hey, we got a young kid coming in. He wants to meet you." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Have him come by." So Shams comes in. This was in the winter. He's got like a flannel shirt and some beat up jeans, and you know, he just said he wanted to get into the NBA somehow. And I'm like, what do you want to do? He goes, well, you know, I'd like to get into a front office role or something. And I'm like, you know, here's this young kid, and I'm thinking, what kind of advice am I supposed to give you about getting in the front office? And all of a sudden, you know, he got in where he was kind of apprenticing under Woj, and then he broke off on his own, and he's doing his own deal now. And he's beaten Woj on a lot of these stories. But I always think back to that day because we ended up letting him cut something on the set, you know, just doing a little on-air thing. Yeah. And he was so nervous he could barely get 3 sentences out. And now here this guy is probably making $1 million a year, you know.
I tell you what, and when you beating the Woj bombs to the punch, it's like a 60-year-old boxer. Woj is not as fast as he used to be, and he's going up against a young lion that you know, that learned underneath him. So he took some secrets.
I tell you what, I saw Shams at the playoff series, the Bulls-Bucks, and he's wearing this beautiful suit, you know, just really clean.
You know,
and
he's like, shopping at the dollar store.
He's like, I'm not wearing that flannel shirt anymore, Shanowski.
He's eating at nice steakhouse now, baby. He's not eating at Steak and Shake.
And it's a testament to people that, you know, young people who want to get a career, just pursue your passion. I mean, he wasn't going to take no for an answer.
He's hungry, you know, just like my man Adam Amin. I mean, you know, Adam does football, baseball, basketball. I mean, just constantly, you know, just doing everything.
And he used to call it minor sports wherever he could do it, you know, just to get a a background of broadcast you could show people.
I tell kids all the time, kids who are trying to get into the broadcasting, how do I get to do what you do?
Yeah.
Well, I was lucky, because I'm the Black Brad Pitt, and so when you got looks like me, America, it's easy. Okay?
And modesty too.
I'm eye candy, okay? And Timmy whispers, and he's I don't know about him. I'm just gonna keep that to myself.
That's right, kids.
But I honestly tell.
If you want to be a business mogul like Whispers, you got some advice for the folks?
Yeah, tell them.
Yeah, well, we got some kids right here, so.
Yes,
that's
we got
right.
Our team.
I mean,
we got a dream team in the background over here. They make everything go.
That's right.
And so, learning from these guys are grinding, and that's what I tell kids all the time. Is like, you sometimes it's not about the money. It's not about how much money you're going to make and what you want to make. Sometimes you got to crawl before you walk. I'll tell you a story, a little quick story. When I first started in this business, when the pre and post game show, we were doing the pre and post game show when we were in Oak Brook. The very first year we was in a trailer. Yeah, we were in I called it like a morgue because they had us down. It was cold and it was just like ice box down there. And I could have made more money working at McDonald's than what they paid me to do post game.
Yes, you could.
I mean, it cost me more to drive to work than what I was getting paid. But it wasn't about the money for me. It was about getting experience and learning the craft and learning how to work in front of the camera. So that's why I tell kids all the time, it's like, don't worry about how much money you're making right now. Sometimes you got to crawl before you walk. It's okay to get on base. The whole object in baseball is to get on base. It's not about, if you hit the home run, great, okay? But the whole object in baseball is to get on base and score runs. And that's how you got to approach
Hey, Mark,
life.
that's a pitch to our crew right here about their pay scale.
Yeah.
Did you order the pizza, by the way, for the crew?
Yeah, I was looking at it on.
Yeah, why don't you? Don't
free
pull
beer and pizza.
Don't pull a wimpy on there. Hey, I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. Come on.
It's like moving day. Free beer and pizza.
And
now get that piano on your back.
To be honest with you, I'm a little bit hungry, so why don't you get that pizza order there, buddy? Okay. Yeah. Come on.
Hey, you mentioned Adam Amin. He's going to be joining us in a few minutes.
Oh!
So we're looking forward to having him.
Illinois SportsCastor of the Year.
That's right.
Adam Amin.
We had to pay him extra to come on this time.
You know what? Hey, listen,
we doubled his usual fee.
They finally realized he is carrying me. Okay, I was all these quick little 2 years. I was always acting like I was carrying him, but now the truth is out. America, he was carrying me.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to talking with Adam, see how his offseason is going. I see him calling baseball games. Won't be long before NFL training camps are open, so he'll be doing 3 sports at the same time.
Oh man, that guy is super talented. Yeah. Uber talented, man. Uber talented. I knew that, when we had that interview, we were doing all the, we had like 16 people come in. And Mark, you were one of those 16 people.
Yeah.
It was just so many people. And you just know who you would like to work with. And I could tell from the very first day that me and him got together, I was just like, yeah, this is it. Why do we even need to go past?
I was about to say, and it wasn't you.
Wow.
We've been friends for too long.
Wow. Okay, first of all, see, this
you can't come between us like that.
This had a Beatles broke up. See, there's always in America. See, Timmy Whispers right here trying to come between me and Mark.
Yeah.
Obviously, it wasn't you.
Yeah.
Well, I tried.
Thanks, Yoko.
Well, you couldn't sing opera, Mark. like Adam.
Oh my God. Tim, that was sneaky. I like that. That was a good one.
That was that last question for Mark. Well,
no.
Can you sing opera?
Hey, listen.
Oh, sorry.
Hey, listen. Mark was right up there. Don't sleep on Mark. Mark was right up there. Mark was one of my favorite people I work with too.
There you go.
I had
way to redeem yourself.
No, because I had to really push for Mark. The opportunity wasn't there at first.
There were forces working against me.
there was the evil empire. It was working against Mark.
They were lined up, yeah.
So I had to reach in and pull him out of the dark. I said, "Come on, man, you're gonna do it." And, man down. Oh Lord, Nicky Knuckles, you all right over there?
I'm always all right.
Oh man, I thought it was cold blue, baby. Anybody know CPR? I thought he was gone.
I thought he dropped his gun.
He was just trying to rush you along and making that pizza order.
Yeah.
We got to have protection because you never know.
Yeah,
hey, by the way, I passed Pavel when I was walking in.
Oh, I saw him too.
Very friendly.
Yeah, it was very friendly.
See how
very
the anger
friendly.
finally left his face?
Yeah. He was. I saw him last time we were here for the draft. I saw him outside. He was outside,
Just lingering,
around.
Any shiny objects?
By my driver. He was by my driver. I was a little nervous. I said, "Hey, it's
my goodness,
9:30. What are you doing here, Papa? You were off at 4."
Oh man.
I'm just come to see you. I just went to say hello.
DJ Pavel, one of our great friends, will go down in the lore of the Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast.
We will have him on one day.
Absolutely,
we'll have him on definitely. And
Phil
Collins.
We'll have to censor most of it.
Phil's
Phil's always hanging in the hallway.
Phil Collins is coming on, America.
He's coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Actually, it could be next week.
Really?
Yeah. I just talked to him.
Yes, he just talked to Phil Collins, so don't be surprised if
you
see Phil.
Studio.
Hello.
Hey, one of our favorites, Jeff Vukovic, when it comes to insurance for your auto, home, and business, make sure that you contact the king of insurance. That's nationwide agent Jeff Vukovic at jeffvuk.com. That's jeffvuk.com. And Stacey, remember.
Oh, boy.
Nationwide is on your side. The Golden Pipes. Don't hate. Don't hate the player. Don't hate the player. Don't hate the game, right?
Can you imagine what kind of deal you'd get in free agency with the Golden Pipes?
Thank you. You know what? Hey, did y'all see? I don't know if I sent y'all the video of the janitor that sang the.
I saw that, yeah.
Saw that video?
Yeah.
He got up at a little kid's thing and sang, and he was testing the mic. And he got up and sang Don't Stop Believing or something, I think it was. And I was sitting there like somebody on Twitter said, "Oh, I don't think he beat the Golden Pipes." I was like, "Shit, you ain't gonna catch me doing that." But I did say, shout out to my man Tim Sinclair. I said, "One of these days I'm gonna grab the mic and I'm gonna sing the nationwide jingle for everybody to see." Yep, I am gonna do it. Unprompted. They'll never know. I'm just gonna take the mic from Tim and sing it.
Please do.
Whispers. Oh my goodness. Careless whispers once again.
You look kind of red, too. I'm looking at the monitor. You look kind of red.
Is that the lighting?
I don't know, man. Seems like you're a little overbaked.
He's blaming the lighting now.
He's blaming the lighting.
There you go.
Rotisserie chicken.
Sure can't be the stress or beer drinking.
Neither one.
And he brought it for himself.
All right, so Stacey's bummed because all of his top targets are melting away from his list. But we'll see what Adam Amin has to say about the state of the Bulls. That's next on the Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast. DJ D, what do you got for us?
Oh, Dangerous D. Oh, yeah, boy. Hit them beats. Yeah. Oh, we grooving up here in the Sriracha Studios. That's Dangerous D on the mic right there.
We are back on the Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast. It is the opening day of free agency, and nobody's tampering. There were only 25 deals announced in the first 5 minutes. I mean, nobody's breaking any rules out there.
No.
One guy who's watching all the action closely, our good friend Adam Amin. First of all, I want to congratulate you, the Illinois SportsCastor of the Year. Very well deserved. Congrats, Adam.
That's very nice of you to say, Mark. That's a team award as far as I'm concerned. So we got Stacey will say it too. We got as good of a team in the business as you're going to find. So that's a team award right there.
It's probably a two-way battle between you and Jason Benetti. I mean, you guys are both so voluminous in the sports that you call. It's hard to choose between you two guys.
I think both Jason and I, from a young age, decided we're just going to try to annoy people into having to watch us. So we just do as many games as humanly possible. Jason is on the air 200 times a year, if not more. And I'm just trying to keep pace with my guy.
So if it was like the Stanley Cup, you guys could just hand the award back and forth every year, right?
It's been at least NBC Sports can use that as like a I don't know, put it up somewhere that the last 3 winners have all been from that network. So Pat Foley, Jason, and myself. And I think both those two gentlemen would say the same thing. You got good people around you. You don't win a title or anything like that by yourself, as you guys have been discussing for the last, better part of an hour. And you don't have a good broadcast without a full good team. So that's how we roll.
But they let Shams Charania get away. He was in our building.
Yeah,
he was in our building. Yeah, that's right.
Hey, there's a lot of people.
That's how we talk. That's how we talk about.
No, that's true. That's a long. He joins a long list.
That's how we talk about Spencer Dinwiddie now. We're like, man, we had Spencer Dinwiddie. We could have kept up with Dinwiddie.
Had Bobby Portis.
There you go. That is another long list.
Oh my goodness. So Adam, tell our listeners and viewers, what you're doing in the summertime when the Bulls are not playing. Tell them what you're doing, how your summer's going.
Yeah, this time of year, it's fun for us because we're back on the road for Major League Baseball on Fox, and I happen to be home this weekend. We've got Cubs and Red Sox on Saturday from Wrigley Field. We will be on the road again next week for Yankees Red Sox. I've never done a Yankees Red Sox game before, so we'll get to do that from Fenway. I'll take a couple of weeks off. Once we get to August, the local Fox affiliate will do 2 of the 3 Bears preseason games. One of those will be on national TV when they go out to Seattle. And then come September, man, we're in the thick of it. We start the NFL season. I stick with baseball all the way through the first round or the division series of the playoffs. And then that's right around when you and I start picking up the preseason, man. So it's a slower time right now, but I'm already looking, 3-4 months down the line as to what's coming. Just like we all are kind of today with trying to figure out what the rosters are going to look like soon.
Speaking of that, we got some potential breaking news involving the Bulls. You got the breaking news sounder. Who's on charge of that over there? He's looking for it. It could be there. It might be there. It is.
There you go.
So, I'm overselling this, but Jake Fisher of the Bleacher Report, who's a very reputable guy covering the league, says it sounds like Danilo Gallinari will be deciding between the Bulls and the Celtics for his next team. The Bulls have most of their full mid-level exception offer, roughly $8 million average annual value, and a hair more than what Boston can offer. But Boston appears to be Gallo's preferred landing spot. How would Danilo Gallinari fit with this Bulls team, guys?
Go ahead and answer that.
The guest gets to go first.
Listen, you need 3-point shooting. We've talked about this for a significant portion of time. Your 2 best 3-point shooters last year were Lonzo Ball and Patrick Williams, and obviously Patrick was only there for 20 plus games, counting the playoffs, and Lonzo got hurt midway through the year. There was very little 3-point shooting in the second half of the season. Gallinari is a lifetime 38% shooter. He shot 38% last year when he's not taking as many shots. Remember, you're playing with Trae Young. Your shots are going to go down a little bit. Last couple of years, he's averaged 8-9 shots a game. Prior to that, he was shooting at a higher volume and shooting at a better clip. This guy shot 40%, 42% in his career in various seasons. So at the very least, he gives you that. He gives you an opportunity to go small if you want. I don't think you necessarily have to put him in as a defensive rotation player. If you wanted to go small, I think the Bulls will have enough on the margins without needing to go to him, but he could play in a small ball lineup as well. And you can have him have some flexibility. He's a matchup problem if you play him at the 3. If you're going up against a smaller team, you could play him at the 4 and have him stretch out the floor a little bit. So he gives you options in a couple of different areas that the Bulls need options in.
When you look at this team like we do, Adam, we see them every night. As the season ended, we both talked about what they needed. They needed 3-point shooting. That was so evident in that Milwaukee Bucks series. Mm-hmm. How if let's say they don't get Gallo, how do AK in the front office? What can they do? What? Because Bryn Forbes is out there, but he's another guard. That puts us back in that small guard. More guards than bigs and forwards. So what is your take on that?
It's hard right now because I know we've kind of joked about it as the list continues to shrink, right? Stacey's list keeps shrinking because all these guys that felt like people talked about Nicholas Batum, and I thought that's the guy. That's a perfect fit for what this team needed. And I figured he could come at a relatively, I don't want to say cheap price tag, but a lower price tag than maybe you'd have to pay to go get like a premium level free agent. This is a pretty good player, a veteran guy that you can always use more veterans to surround this younger core, right? I thought he would have been perfect as a 3-and-D guy. I looked at somebody like the Hartenstein deal, felt like that would have been a perfect backup big for, I think, Mark, you said maybe $7 or $8 million a year. That felt like a reasonable price. That was the price that I thought you could get Daniel Tice for a season prior. But if there's a stretch 3 or 4 out there right now, you've got to go find him, because I think that's the position where the Bulls need the most help. The front court is where they need the most help right now. Give me a capable backup big to give you some rim protection. I think Mitchell Robinson is probably your best look right now. That seems to be I don't think, as far as I've seen, I don't think he is signed anywhere just yet. I don't know if this team's going to have the room for a player like DeAndre Ayton. It just doesn't seem like that's in the cards unless you're going to give up a big chunk of players. So that's kind of where my head is at right now. I think Robinson is the key, and you're going to have to go out and try to get a 3-and-D guy. Like Joe Ingles looked like he signed with Milwaukee.
Yeah,
he just signed with Milwaukee.
That's one of my guys.
I was on the list. And that's the perfect type of player looking at a 43% 3-point shooter that gives you some spacing on offense and gives you some floor balance on defense to help out. So I think Robinson is kind of like the pipe dream at this point right now for a thinning free agent market.
What do you make of the fact that we've seen so many of these Supermax and Max extensions being announced, but no Zach Lavine? I know Zach said at the end of the season that he wanted to really soak in the free agent process and really, it's probably his only chance to experience it as a pro, and he's taken his time. You make anything out of that?
I think the only thing I would make out of that is he wants to see if there's a significant move somewhere else. Is there a significant move that, let's say, the Lakers make, or let's say a team like the Knicks make? I don't think the Knicks are really a destination at this point. I don't think Miami's a destination for him at this point. I still look at the Lakers as still in a little bit of a limbo right now. Let's say the Lakers go out and make a significant move. Let's say they go out and suddenly Kyrie's off the board and he heads to Los Angeles. I would agree with Stacey. I don't think that Zach is going to go sign somewhere to be a third option, because I do feel like he's at the point of his career where he truly believes, and I don't think he's wrong, that he can help be one of the 2 or 3 guys that carries you to a title and is one of the 2 or 3 best players on the team. And I believe he thinks he can do that in Chicago. If I were Zach, I'd probably end up re-signing in Chicago anyway, plus for the obvious reason that he's just going to make more money. You can make more money signing with the Bulls. But let's say the Lakers make a significant move and then they're able to swing a package to the Bulls that's too good to pass up in terms of draft capital, in terms of money, and in terms of current assets. Maybe he says, all right, let's make a move. Other than that, I don't personally see, and I don't feel in my gut that Zach is going to make a move beyond that. I feel like he's going to end up in Chicago again. He's going to re-sign for the max. And I don't think there's going to be a real great sign and trade option out there for him that he really looks at and says, that's the one. I want to go there because I know I'm going to be hoisting an NBA title at the end of the year. I just don't think there's another team out there right now. I feel like Chicago is still his best situation. That's all I make of the kind of delay of him not making a signing just yet.
We started to, think that AK was going to move Colby White at the draft, try to package him. You heard the Rudy Gobert, rumors. I'm a big Colby fan to the fact that I believe that he has a skill set that is similar to, a Ben Gordon, Jamal Crawford, a guy that can come off a team off the bench and give you points. Do you think AK in the front office is still thinking about trying to move him and package him?
I do, in just the sense of that's probably your best trade asset for value. Patrick Williams, you could trade, but do you want to? I don't think so. That's a developmental project that I think everybody in the organization really believes in. I don't think he's going to be packaged. Vucevic would be better off, I think you're better off holding on to him until you can swing something for him. And if you're at the trade deadline, you might get a better value for him then. And it also depends on what the team does, because Vucevic could still play a major role if this is a team that, come trade deadline time is sitting in 4th place in the East. You're not going to try to swing a move unless it's an all-star caliber player that's coming back for maybe a contract that's already written out that you might have control over for a couple of years. So I feel like Colby would be your best trade asset right now. I still feel like there's a possibility of him being traded. But if you pick up a Danilo Gallinari, I think Andre Drummond is still on the board, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Mark,
Yeah.
Like let's say they go get Andre Drummond. Now you're looking at Colby as a potential microwave off the bench, and you still have him as capital to get something else down the line, maybe at the trade deadline, depending on what your team looks like. But you don't necessarily have to make that move because you're still going to have depth at that position, and you still have control over Colby White at a price tag that's far less than what you're going to pay for, let's say, a player like a Bryn Forbes right now.
The signings are starting to slow down after we got all the tampering news right off the bat. But Patty Mills is staying with the Brooklyn Nets. He opted out yesterday. 2 years, $14.5 million. The Bulls are kind of overloaded with guards, so that maybe wasn't an area where they were looking at. But I want to ask you about this whole Kevin Durant thing because it's taken over the entire sports universe this afternoon after the news broke that he is going to request a trade from the Brooklyn Nets. If you were Arturas Karnisovas, would you make an offer? Would you try to back up the truck and put all kinds of assets in there to make a run for a 34-year-old Kevin Durant? Granted, he is one of the top 3 players in the world, but are you going to get Supreme Kevin Durant for 4 years, I guess is my question.
I don't think you're going to get Supreme Kevin Durant for 4 years, but it is an elevation to what your team would be doing offensively, no matter what. You cannot get worse with Kevin Durant on your team. The one way you can get worse potentially is if the value that you have to give up, the assets that you have to give up, decimate your roster. And that would be my concern right now for this particular team. Like the way that Philadelphia and Brooklyn made that big trade last year, you had to give up premium assets, but that you were exchanging premium assets. Durant is a kind of a unicorn-like player in this league. You know, if this is a league of 25 to 30, what I would call, and I think Stacey knows what I'm talking about, gravitational players, right? There's only like 25 or 30 of them. And in that group, there's like 3 or 4 that are on an echelon beyond the rest of the group. And Kevin Durant is part of that group. He's still going to make your team better, but is the roster around him going to be good enough to carry you for an entirety of a season? That Nets roster, despite all the injuries, despite all the up and down nature of their personnel, despite Durant missing a bunch of time, they were still in the playoffs. Now, granted, they were a play-in team, but if Durant's healthier, they're probably a top 6 seed, right? If Irving plays more than, the half the games last year, they're probably a top 6 team. Their roster was good enough at its core and around the margins to still be a playoff contending team. What worries me is that if you make a move for a player like Durant, and I'm sure the Bulls aren't the only team with this concern, if you make a move like that, are you going to decimate the margins or pieces of the core that would help elevate Durant's game rather than forcing him to have to be the alpha every single night and try to win games on his own? When he's been a champion, when he's been in deep playoff runs, what's been the case? It's a roster full of really, really talented players, multiple Hall of Fame players in Oklahoma City and in Golden State. We haven't seen that package that would make it so that Durant has that support around him in Chicago. That's the thing that would concern me if I were AK and Mark. And I'm sure there's, out of the 29 teams that all want Kevin Durant, I'm sure that half of those teams have that same concern.
One of the things we talked about too, Adam, is how the East is going to be so much better. It was good this year.
Yeah.
But now when you look at these young teams like Orlando stacking up with talent, Detroit and what they're doing, this is going to be, there's not going to be no nights off. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah. And you and I talked about the development of this conference last year a lot, every single night. And even games against the Magic, who are a bottom-dwelling team, were tough because they didn't know no better, right? Like the young cats don't know what they don't know.
Talking trash.
And they're talking trash and doing the thing across the chest. And yeah, it annoys me because I'm like, you guys are like, you haven't done anything yet.
You won 12
but for sure. But I respect it at the same time. There's part of me that respects where the mindset of young teams like that are. And I feel like Orlando reloading on some of these guys, making some move. I'm really excited to watch Banchero. I think that's a fascinating college player that could make an impact right away and seems like a really good fit with all the other young guys, with your Anthony and your Suggs and the Wagners. That's a really fun looking young team. Bagley's going back to Detroit now. The moves that they've made in the draft and through the trade process. I'm a huge Jaden Ivey fan. I think he can make an impact right away. We saw how Cunningham, when he was healthy, really turned things on at the end of the season last year. So we're just talking about the margin teams. We're not even talking about Milwaukee reloading, Miami re-signing guys and reloading up. Philadelphia, what they're going to look like with James Harden giving that roster a little bit of a salary break and trying to bring in some more pieces. And Boston's the defending Eastern Conference champ. This is not going to be easy. This is going to be a conference the way we talked about the West. When LeBron dominated the East, it was a fight night in and night out in the Western Conference. I think that's how it's going to be in the East in the next 2-3 years.
Yeah, and Philadelphia signed P.J. Tucker to a 3-year contract to give them some toughness up front. Want to ask you what you think about the Bulls' first-round draft pick, Dalen Terry. Stacey was not wowed at the moment it was made, but he's come on board.
First of all, Mark, just throw me under the bus.
You almost slumped over dead last week.
Listen, I didn't overreact. Listen, they caught me off guard, Adam. Okay, I had my own draft board. And I didn't have him on the draft board. I had E.J. Liddell on there. There was a couple other names I had on there too. Patrick Baldwin Jr., who ended up going to Golden State. Then the rich get richer. So there was a ton of kids on there. And, Mark's just tried to throw me in the bus. Okay, Mark.
That tape exists.
Mark's always stirring the pot.
Yeah, you know what?
People can look at last week's show.
Listen, Mark, why do you keep bringing up old stuff? Why you keep bringing bold stuff? See?
Hey, the question still stands. Adam Amin, what do you think about the prospect Dalen Terry?
Well, I was probably in the same boat as Stacey, and I was probably in the boat as a lot of other Bulls fans and pundits. I was surprised by the pick, not because Dalen Terry wasn't a quality player. I just wasn't thinking about him because of EJ Liddell. I thought Liddell was going to be the guy because of the position that he played. I thought, all right, this is a backup 4 at the start of his career. And that's kind of what you need for this roster, right? Like front court depth was so important to this roster. Dalen Terry does fit that mold of front court depth. He can still give that to you. You're just looking at a little bit of a smaller lineup. And we did see moments last year, particularly when Lonzo was healthy, where the small ball lineup was really effective. You know, I think to be an effective small ball lineup, you have to have multiple ball handlers. And when you don't have your best ball handler for, the majority of the second half of the year, that's going to affect every lineup, big or small. But I thought when Lonzo was healthy, their small ball lineup was fun. They moved, they ran the floor. And I think Dalen Terry would be a perfect addition on offense to a small ball run and gun type of lineup, which Stacey implored this team last year, begged at times, like run with the ball, like run the floor, push the tempo, get those transition points. At the best, they were getting 14, 15 transition points a night. And at their worst, they were getting 6 or 7 a night. And you want to be in that 14, 15 a night range. And I think with a healthy Lonzo Ball, with Patrick Williams, I think that with how he's probably going to add some stuff to his offensive game and continue to be more aggressive. I think, you guys had a great interview with him a couple of weeks back when he was on the podcast about what he was doing with DeMar DeRozan. I think him, Ball, Zach Lavine, and Dalen Terry could make a really fun 4-man run and gun lineup. Throw Io in there as well. You could play 3 guards, maybe even 4 if you really want to go small. I think you have the opportunity to do multiple things with Dalen Terry and not have him have to step in like a lot of the teams that we discussed, like a Detroit or Orlando, where the young guys have to come in and be 15-point scorers right away. You don't need that from him. He can give you a lot of different things. We already know about his defensive prowess at Arizona, so he's already adding to something that I think the Bulls were improving on when they were healthy last year. I think the fit is really good. I was just surprised because he was not at the top of my head. I was thinking about EJ Liddell like a lot of people.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you. I'm glad we thought alike, as Mark tried to throw me in the bus. but no, seriously, I ain't gonna lie. I was caught off guard by that. I did not think they were gonna. I didn't think he wasn't in my mind, and because going into that, you knew they needed size. They needed size. They needed 3-point shooting, and so I'm looking at all the big guys that were out there. Like Walker Kessler. Walker Kessler was one guy I had on my list. A 7-footer that can block shots. Bruce Pearl went out on a limb and said he's going to be better than Chet Holmgren. But I tell you what, though, there's a kid in France that is coming in next year's draft, I think.
Victor Wembanyama.
Wembanyama. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I saw a couple of his highlights over the last few days, and that guy can run. He is long. He is aggressive at the rim. Like, this kid's got some skill, man.
That's why the Spurs are tanking.
And this is why the Spurs are tanking. Because they see the second coming of like David Robinson or Tim Duncan. I mean, I saw some highlights of him going up against the USA, and they couldn't do anything. He killed Chet Holmgren. Killed him. And this guy's got like a 7'9" wingspan. He's been working out with Rudy Gobert. I saw a video of him and Rudy Gobert playing. I mean, he made Rudy Gobert look like a child. He's highly skilled, can handle the ball, can shoot. I mean, not your typical 7'1", 7'2" kid. So that's a name I think everybody's going to be on. He's going to be on everybody's draft board next year.
He's got a great pedigree. I think his dad was I don't know if he was an Olympian, but he was like a long jumper. His mom was a great basketball player. His sister played basketball and won a title in France. Like, this is an athletic family, and he's got a skill set. There is a reason, when you win those awards, like the MVP of that pro league or whatever, you win an MVP in Spain, like Luka did, or you win in France, typically those players have a wide skill set. Like, just to play the European game, you have to have a very wide skill set. So already you're getting somebody that has different elements that they can bring that already translate to the modern NBA game. And like Stacey and I have talked about with Luka, they come in with a little bit of an attitude. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that they come in already having to be the alpha male at 18, 19 years old on their team. They're the ones talking to the refs. They're the ones who are trying to get their guys fired up because they're the best player. And usually in Europe, you have one or two great players, and then everybody else is kind of filling the roster. Whereas in the NBA, you've got 3 or 4 great players. All of them might be the alpha on that team. In Europe, that alpha is handling everything. They are the captain. And Victor is the captain there. And he is already kind of got the attitude that I feel like is going to translate to the NBA level right away. I agree with you guys. That's probably why a lot of teams are like, if we fell to number 1 and we got the number 1 in the lottery next year, I think we're going to be in pretty good shape.
The Los Angeles Lakers trying to fill out their roster. Of course, they are certainly top heavy with LeBron, AD, and Russell Westbrook commanding over $120 million just among those three. They signed the former Bull, Troy Brown Jr., to a minimum deal. They're also getting Lonnie Walker IV, who was surprisingly not given a qualifying offer by the Spurs. So the Spurs are in full tank mode. So LeBron getting a couple of reinforcements, and Lonnie Walker in particular, he can play.
So they suddenly, like, they lost their two of their 3 longest tenured players in Murray and Walker. So I think Jakob Poeltl's their longest tenured guy now on that roster. That roster's seen a full turnover just in the last 3 years.
Maybe they'll trade Poeltl to the Bulls. Who knows?
That was a trade deadline thing we were talking about.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised with that. I'm a little. Oh man,
Stacey's list is gone. Crumple it up, throw it in the garbage can.
My list is like Thanos.
Man.
Like Thanos, it snapped his fingers and it disappeared.
Went to a different dimension.
Oh my goodness, man!
It's just dust at this point. But you know what? I'll say the backup big market the whole free agent market is obviously thinning, but that backup big market is still pointing at Drummond, Robinson,
Howard,
and Howard, and I feel like. I would lean towards a Jakob Poeltl trade. That because to me, the way he plays, he's played against the Bulls a bunch last couple of years. He's had the big second halves every night, right? Yes. Greg Popovich would always let his guards run the floor run the show in the first half, and then come second half, they would open up with pick and roll. Poeltl would dive, roll cut, set the screen, give up shots, get offensive rebounds, and he'd always end up with a double-double, and it always came in the second half after Popovich made those adjustments. He's the type of player that I feel like the Bulls need in that regard. So if they suddenly, with this thinning market, decided, hey, let's go try to get a Jakob Poeltl for a future draft pick and maybe one asset that you have already on the roster, I think the Spurs might say, yeah, go ahead and take on the rest of Poeltl's contract.
When you look at what Golden State has done, you go back and you say, remember when they had only won like 15 or 16 games? Remember we talked about how they played pool and they played all their younger players. Like they're getting them prepared for when their main guys come back. And you saw that. You saw those guys in the playoffs. And then Wiggins was on that team too, and Wiggins was like the main guy on a bad team. And then all of a sudden that playing time, and we talked about Adam, that playing time, Golden State was developing those guys. They were taking losses. They didn't care. They were developing those guys for the moment they just had. Talk a little bit about that and what you saw out of that Golden State team, and do they have the ability to continue to win? Because you heard Draymond Green talking about they can win 3 of the next 4. What do you think about that?
I would tend to agree with them. I'm not saying they're going to, but I feel like they could, and they're good enough to do so. You still have 2 great players in their prime in Curry and Thompson. You have a roster that's been filled out with really good young talent. Like, I didn't hear a lot of Jonathan Kuminga come playoff time. He wasn't as big of a factor. That happens to younger players. But during the regular season, there are a lot of nights where Jonathan Kuminga was doing a lot of great work. James Wiseman didn't play last year. He just wasn't on the floor. And they're still preparing to bring him back to that roster. They still have the roster that's capable of winning. Now, will they lose some guys around the margins? Sure. But they've done that multiple times through those championship years, and they've always been able to make a deep run. And a lot of it is just incumbent on, is Steph Curry healthy? Is Klay Thompson healthy? And if those 2 guys are healthy, they're going to have opportunities to score points every single night. So are they good enough? Absolutely. The Draymond Green thing it just makes me laugh because I feel like at some point, he's just going to keep talking until somebody shuts him up. And until they stop winning, you can't shut the guy up. You get to say what you want when you win, and they're winning. And I don't see them slowing down at any point. I do see them having to be competitive. I do see them having to grind out series against Memphis or Phoenix or Dallas at some point, but they're still probably the best team in that conference as it stands right now. And yeah, I believe they could win 2 out of the next 3 after this year.
Well, Adam, thanks so much for joining us. I know you got a game to call tonight, so we're going to let you go. The one thing I did want to mention, though, Stacey with this hip replacement surgery, he's going to want to be going to the clubs on the road and all these high-end restaurants. You're going to have to keep up with them next year, right?
I'm already expecting it. I got to make phone calls ahead. I got to call for tables. Like, that's going to be my job.
Bottle service.
Okay, America. I get to see this every night. I want to show you I want you to see how hip Adam is. Adam, back up a little bit. Let's see what's on that shirt.
Biggie.
Let him see it. Biggie, baby. This guy knows hip hop. This was so cool about working with Adam, because Adam, we can finish each other's senses. Like, music, thoughts. It's like really crazy. Like, sometimes we'll be in our little room downstairs, and we'll have all the guys in there, and then Adam will say something, then I'll finish it, and they'll go, "Oh my God!" And like Mark will look at us like, "How did you know he was going to say that?" It's really crazy. So yeah, he is one of the hippest guys. I mean, tell the viewers how old you are, because you look like you're 12.
Stacey makes fun of me because I just got a haircut and I got to shave.
Yes,
I don't shave often. Like, I'll trim my beard, but usually I don't shave like more than once a month. So every time I shave, Stacey's like, "Man, you lost 20 years on you." Like, he feels like I look like a child, and I can't say that he's wrong. I feel like more often than not, without the beard, I look like I'm 35 right now.
Hey, Adam, speaking of great Bulls picks, you said you were listening to the show beforehand. Did you hear about Stacey picking you to be his right-hand man and then had to redeem himself with Mark?
Please let me know before we get out of here. I need to hear this.
Yeah. It was
go ahead,
it came out wrong.
No, it wasn't. It was very innocent.
Mark, you were one of those guys.
Listen, what I said was the year that I had to interview 16 people to take over for Neil.
Yeah, the cavalcade of play-by-play men.
Yeah, a bunch of people, and they were all good in their own right. But I said, after the first time I worked with Adam, I knew right then and there he was the guy. And I went in and said, he's the leader in the clubhouse, even though he was the only one that I had seen first. I said, all right, this dude is good. He's the guy. But I had to go ahead and then interview the 15 other people, and then Tim had to throw in. And then I said, Mark was one of those guys I had in the finalists. But people don't know how hard it was for me to get Mark into the race. Mark was like Biscuit. Like, no one wanted to bet on Seabiscuit.
I kind of feel like Seabiscuit right about now.
He was Seabiscuit, okay? So, Adam.
That's a great analogy. You're making me feel a lot better, Stacey.
But Seabiscuit, you saw with the ending, Seabiscuit.
Yeah, they shot him.
Seabiscuit had a heart attack, man.
Something like that.
But you know what? Like I told everybody, man, I was thinking about retiring after Neil left. I honestly was. I said, you know what? Let's go out like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, And then I got a chance to work with Adam, and man, I was like, man, I ain't going nowhere. Matter of fact, I probably lost like 10 years. I mean, I gained 10 years. I'm going back in reverse like Benjamin Button, baby. Thanks to that guy right there.
The Black Brad Pitt, as you say. You often say you are the Black Brad Pitt.
See, the Black Brad Pitt.
That's right.
Okay, see, y'all
completely unprompted.
Yeah, see,
which is great.
See? I'm one of the 10 sexiest people in Idaho. I just want to say, that's a big honor. That's a big honor.
That's right.
Yeah, I was one of the 10 sexiest people in Idaho, America.
We got to let this man do his job. We're going to let you go. Have a great call tonight. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to the start of next season. The great Adam Amin, the Illinois SportsCaster of the Year on Gimme the Hot Sauce.
Holla at a player.
We want to thank Adam Amin for taking time out from his busy schedule to join us. He's actually calling a game from his den, the Dodgers Padres. He really is a man for all seasons. I mean, can you imagine that, trying to call a baseball game sitting in your house?
I tell you what, he also does those games, those virtual games where you put those little Oculus things on your eye, and he actually calls like games. I'm telling you, man, he's super talented, super talented guy, and one of the Bears, he does the Bears games, he does NFL. I mean, he's constantly he'll miss a few games during the beginning of the year because he's doing NFL games with Fox. He's one of the rising stars. In sports.
But he was not too talented enough to avoid the whispers question. You always confuse people with what you're trying to ask him.
It's with full intent.
That's why we love Whispers. Weekend at Whispers. I hope you saw that on our social
Weekend at
media
Whispers.
page.
Oh, that was
Stacey and I
funny.
dragging him out of there.
Boy, we got to give a shout out to that great artwork.
That's going to live on forever.
Oh, my
Yeah.
God. that
Just
was
like you
hilarious.
being a hot sauce
Well, I
packer.
can see it as one of the banners back here.
Yeah,
We might
it's
have to
coming,
get that printed
coming
out.
it's coming.
soon to a
Coming
conference
soon.
room near you.
Coming soon. Coming soon.
Hey, a couple more names to cross off Stacey's list. Marvin Bagley III agrees to a 3-year, $37 million contract with the Detroit Pistons, so he's staying there. And
left?
Nick Claxton, another mobile big man, a young guy who can run the court, he's staying in Brooklyn. He gets a 2-year, $20 million deal. So apparently, Stacey, no matter what the Nets are going to do with Kevin Durant, they intend to compete next year because they're bringing back these guys that normally you just let them walk if you're going to rebuild and blow it up.
Well, Claxton's a good young talent.
Yeah.
I mean,
But Patty Mills are bringing back.
Oh, Patty Mills. You know what? Patty Mills is a good reserve.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
last year with Kyrie Irving being out, I think he ran out of gas.
Yeah, it's played
I think
too
he
much.
was played too much, and I think if maybe Kevin Durant rescinds. Maybe he says to himself like, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna stay."
And maybe the earth is flat.
But they don't have to trade him.
Do you think he's mad at Kyrie or he's mad at the Nets? That's what I was trying to figure out.
But why? But why would you be mad at the Nets in the simple fact that Kyrie Irving is the one who's caused all of this?
Yeah.
Okay. James Harden left because of Kyrie Irving. You got me here to play in Brooklyn, and now you don't want to play because we all had to get the shots, but you didn't want to do it. And again, I mean, that's to each his own. But at the same time, you can't expect these guys to welcome you back with open arms. Now you get Ben Simmons on your team who didn't play it, when they all thought he could have played last year in the playoffs. They could have helped him. Steve Nash, is he a good coach? Like, is he really a good coach?
A lot of people think that was Kyrie forcing, or actually Kevin Durant forcing that in because he was a consultant with the Warriors when KD was there.
Well, see, and one of those things is, just because you were on that Warrior staff doesn't make you a good coach.
Right.
I mean, we've seen Mike Brown leave, get fired, and come back.
Right.
We saw Kenny Atkinson turn down a head coaching job. Head coaching jobs are really tough to get. And for him to go to say, hey, I'm going to stay here as a head assistant and not go to Charlotte, what does that tell you? Then Charlotte goes out and brings in Clifford, who they fired.
Yeah, he'd been there before.
Who they had their most success in their franchise history. You fire the guy, he goes off to Orlando, he gets fired over there. Now he's sitting at home playing, computer games, and then you ask him to come back and be your coach.
And Brett Brown is going back to be Pop's top assistant with San Antonio.
Which
Now,
I end
I
up-
thought that Popovich might be thinking about retiring, but the word is that he's fine with this young team. He's going to coach next year.
Yeah, he's going to coach next year, but I think it's his last year. I mean, he's 73 years old, and at some point, it's like how many more years you want to go? You know what I'm saying? It's like it's one of those things. The rigors of the NBA, the travel. Getting in late to hotels, that's got to wear on you, especially if you've done it for over 30-something years.
I think with his wife passing not so long ago, that gives him some sense of purpose in his life too.
Yeah, it does. It does. But at some point, though, Mark, that the grind,
It's a grind,
the grind of an NBA season is tough, and especially if you're going through those times where your team is not winning, and you got a bunch of young players. Man, it's tough.
Hey, tell the folks about your limo ride over. The good folks at Windy City.
Oh, first of all, shout out to my driver, Mike Omaroff. He's super. I mean, we had
Gene retired, you said?
Yeah, Gene, he retired. He
All
said,
right.
you know what?
God bless him.
I just want to hang out in Florida and flip houses.
Is,
right.
is the new guy packing heat?
You know what?
Or sauce?
We just want to make sure he's protected.
Hey, listen, don't worry about that. Mike is a third-degree black belt. He's a third-degree black belt. Plus, I have a little secret compartment in the backseat of my car just in case I need to go get it. You ever saw Sean Connery, that little gun he had in the movie with the when he was the Untouchables? Remember
Oh, yeah.
that little shotgun?
Derringer thing.
Hey, you bring a knife to a gunfight.
Yeah.
That's me back in the back seat. So don't interrupt me again, Tim, or I hit you with a throat punch. Okay. I'm sorry, America. Windy City, get ready. Windy City Limousine provides a championship service. Making a reservation is so easy; it's a slam dunk. Let Wendy break the full court pressure of traffic and get you to your destination in style and on time. Contact us at 866-94-WENDY. Again, contact us at 866-94-WENDY and tell them Stacey sent you. You may not get a discount, but they might say, hey, he's a great guy. The Black Brad Pitt.
There you go.
Let me see.